at different points in time, they are the star in my head, one or the other. But to me, they had to be in the book to give the different perspectives. You have Grantoya, who is a Dahomey warrior, and this is another comic book I literally learned about. I got I think it was a graphic novel. She's one page in there, and I was like, "Is this person real?" And you start digging, and you find out that she was given a state funeral of the brand new the country of Haiti. This is unified. Um, she was a Dahomey warrior. So she was one of these women who protected the king of Dahomey. Um, the king is God. They do exactly what the king says. And the kings of Dahomey sold their enemies. They would attack. And when they attacked, if you were a man, they couldn't trust you because they thought sooner or later you're going to try and overthrow us. So they would either kill you and take your head and put it on their palace to show their strength, or they would sell you to enslavement. Now, if you're a woman, they could kill you. They could sell you to enslavement. If you were strong, they thought they could teach you, you might be a Dahomey warrior. If you were strong and cute, you might be a first wife. But there's, very little options in the Dahomey world. The Grantoya is a Dahomey warrior. She was a gal. She was a leader. She gets caught and is brought to Saint Domingue. And I think that's where she figures out what enslavement really means. And she has a redemption of, I'm going to train up the next generation to overthrow this. So she literally, she gets privileges on the habitation. It's French. Habitation is in French. She gets privileges. She begins to exercise the children because she's able to keep them healthier longer. She knows herbs and she brings a lot of the African ways with her that the plantation owner, the habitation owner, the Grand Blanc, he lets her do it, right? But if you kind of squint and look, that exercise and you put a spear in somebody's hand or a gun, it looks a little different. She had a mission, and one of the young men that she poured into, particularly teaching him how to move troops in the mountains, teaching him terrain and how to fight, was Jean-Jacques Dessalines, the man who literally gathers all parts of Haiti and he pushes the French out. Jean-Jacques Dessalines marries a woman named Marie Claire Bonheur. Marie Claire begins her life a free woman. There's a devastating earthquake in Legonais, and she and her mother literally are going everywhere feeding the people. Feeding the people is the thing of her life. She is always meant to do that. But she meets a young enslaved man, Jean-Jacques, and they fall in love. But they cannot marry because he's enslaved, because that would enslave her children. And through course of time, it's a very long relationship. There gets to be a point where he is now risen in the military. And he is the number 2 guy under Toussaint Louverture. And they are taking over the city of Jacmel. The theory was that there's a lot of French resistance in Jacmel. They're going to starve the city. Marie Claire hears of the suffering in Jacmel. She gathers women. They're going to go feed the people. They dress in white. They get on a mule train. First of all, that's a life choice I don't think most people will do, is get on a mule wearing white. But they did. They got on a mule train. And she believed that if they go to Jacmel, that fighting on both sides will stop and they will be able to feed the city. And she goes and they stop fighting for her, and she and her women literally feed, and they literally save tens of thousands of people in Jacmel. And Jean-Jacques, they reconnect again for, I think, the 400th time, and this time they marry. So Jean-Jacques has on 2 sides of him. He has soft power peace through Marie Claire, who believes that everyone is the same. And then he has the warrior spirit of Grantoya. That force you could see evidences in the way the Constitution is written. You can see their various influences. So they had to, in my opinion, they had to be in the book together, because it's their influence that shapes the Haitian Revolution. In Queen of Exiles, there was a very minor mention of a woman called Mary Louise Christophe in Sister Mother Warrior. Now, these books are not connected, but these are all pieces of history. And I had heard that she became the queen of Haiti. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Haiti was this, how do you become queen? We had an emperor, Jean-Jacques, because once he's unified it, he's still trying to best Napoleon. He becomes the emperor of Haiti. Well, I did some more research and I found out that he was assassinated 2 years into the free country. So it's chaos. And his number 2 man is Henri Christophe. Christophe tries to keep the country unified, but there's always been this division between the coloreds, which are mixed race individuals who have more education, and the blacks, who typically don't have that level of education, but they knew how to fight. That's why the black generals won the war. Colored generals did not. Anyway, you got this problem. Dessalines is no longer there. And so the country literally splits in half. So you have the coloreds that go to the Republic. And first it's a Republic up here, but Christophe fears that France is going to come back. And so he decides for the world to stand up and help us, like they did before with Dessalines. We need to look like them. So he's looking out and he sees these peerages. He wants to be a king. So he decides that this upper half of Haiti is now the Kingdom of Haiti. And he springs it on his wife as he's building a palace for her. Oh, by the way, this is now a kingdom. You're now queen. And she's like, say what? Right? Mary Louise, or as I call her, Queen Louise, she was a hotelier's daughter. So the Hotel Caron, prior to the revolution, is one of the most fabulous hotels in Haiti. When Europe, Hades is the pearl of the Antilles. Everything is the finest indigo, the finest sugar. They have opera. There's ballet. There's so much culture happening in Saint-Domingue. And her father owns this fabulous hotel. He's a free black man. He's owning this hotel. And so she's noticing how these women are dressing. She's noticing their jewelries. She's noticing their elegance. I think that's one of the things that Henri, when he met her, he saw. He fell instantly in love with this woman, waited 2 years for her to become old enough to marry. And they marry, and she was a dutiful lieutenant's wife, a major's wife, general, president's wife, and now he's made her queen. But she is uncomfortable in that position. And she's uncomfortable with this notion that you have to be like the Europeans to be accepted. The African ways through Grand Toya were the reasons we're free. How can you divorce that? So there's this constant battle of trying to make sure you remember where you came from, but yet still having the freedom to strive to be more. They do wonderful things that aren't widely. They brought vaccinations to Haiti. There were times where you would walk through the schools and English and French are being taught to these generation that just came off the plantation, working in the fields. They're now learning English and French. Henri is actually successful. He gets Britain on their side. He gets Russia on their side. Russia and Britain together keep France away. There are several points. France is mad that they lost to Haiti. They want the land. They want reparations. And Britain and Russia stop them. So this is part of the success that no one knows of or readily knows of Henri Christophe. But as a man who fought in the American Revolution, as a man who constantly fought in all of these various battles, he has post-traumatic stress, in my opinion, from the thing. He started having manic episodes. Louise was the only one to keep him calm or to bring him back to reality. He eventually has a stroke, and he dies. The kingdom falls. Louise is only able to escape with her two daughters. They smuggled jewels out because Henri bought them lots and lots of jewels. And for those who wonder how they got the money, Dessalines had restarted the economy of Haiti. Haiti is exporting sugarcane and indigo, etc. Henri continues to do this, but he's doing the transactions. So you send a boat out and you get money. Part of the money goes to Haiti. Part of the money goes to Henri. Part of the money goes to Haiti. They had to actually come up with a code that they call it the Code Henry to make this clarification so that they would understand how much. But they say at one point he has more cash on hand than the King of England. He has a vision of things going wrong, so he actually sends money to the Archbishop of England for Mary Louise. But they get to London, and the Archbishop, there's a process. He's not going to hand over this money. It's got to go through the courts. That's going to be delayed. And their jewels, they're staying in the Osborne Hotel, which is where the dignitaries stay. It's right on the Thames. Their jewels are stolen their second night by a maid. This woman has to reinvent herself again. She, spoiler, she does. She rebuilds Henri's fortune, and she is on the world stage. She's the first media-stalked royal. I literally put newspaper clippings in the book so y'all could see I was not making this up, of how every time she went somewhere, they literally have a notation of how many servants she's going with, what she's wearing, what hotel she's staying, if she's waiting for diplomatic papers. They're following her, what her daughters are doing. They were waiting for a scandal. This woman provided them almost never. There was one time, and it's in the book. But just bringing this woman back to life. Modern historians will call this woman sorrowful queen, sorrowful. To look at her life only as tragic, I think, is a disservice. She was a very strong woman. She unfortunately had a lot of tragedy in her life, but she lived life, and she was a mother bear, and she protected her daughters as best she could. And she made sure that they had as much life as possible. And they kept moving, and they followed the royal circuit. They were accepted on the world stage. There's a scene that one of my favorite scenes in the book. There is an opening for an opera in Florence. And all of the ex-royals and present royals have been invited. And on the front row is like the King of Westphalia, the King of Holland, Madame Christoph and her daughters, the Prince of Prussia. They're seating them in order of precedence. Behind them are the Viscount Chateaubriand, other wealthy individuals. She was accepted, and she had, money trumps race. If she was poor, she wouldn't be there. She wouldn't have the clothes. She had money. She was recognized as a queen. She was part of the royal set, and her story has been erased, just only the tragedies. It's a privilege to bring these individuals back. And that's, this is that in that darn engineering degree, right? I'm going to do all the homework, uncover everything, and then you get the translations from French and German and all these other different things. Cause I was bored, right? In my educational process. But I want to do what I can to give you the story to make you feel as if you're walking in her shoes.